Today I will be going over my build for the current Ultimatum League. I had a few questions about my build because I uploaded a video yesterday and I was clearing a tier 2 map. It was going fine. It was going pretty fast. And I heard that some people are having difficulty either finding the right build to get the maps or just mapping in general. So I thought I would make this video just to quickly explain my build and explain how easy it actually is to make your own build even. It looks very complicated, but once you understand the basic mechanics of your build and what you want from it, then it's fine. You would still take a build that someone else maybe already made or like that's already tested, but you can tweak it a lot just to fit your personal preference. If you look at the items I'm using, it looks very complicated. You have all these stats, you have all these things. But if you really look at it, for example, my shield, it's just life. Everything is basically just life. And the rest, it's only to cap my resistances. If you go to my character and you look at the defenses, you can see that they're all capped, but just barely. You don't really need more than that, because anything above 75 is a waste of like either a slot that could have been something else from your equipment. Let's say I would have an additional 20 lightning resistance, but that could also be strength, or that could also be intelligence, for example. If you look at my armor, it's not that high. It's okay, but it's not that high. It's mostly because of my 6 link. And normally you would have this like you would have a lot more armor from your chest, but since 6 links are still so expensive this league, and I haven't cleared above tier 6 yet, so I'm stuck using a slightly less optimal chest. It's also giving me not that much life compared to, for example, the shield that's giving at least twice the amount of life that my chest is giving. If you look at my weapon, you can see that it's almost only cast speed. Again, it has a lot of stats, but 80% of the stats you use and the other 20% is basically useless. Because if you look at, for example, the cold damage, you don't really need the cold damage. And if you look at the 35 to mana, you also don't really need that. Then, like I said, next to my equipment, it's, except for this one, it's really all resistances and some life. The reason there's some dexterity on here is because I didn't really check my skill gems enough. So I ended up leveling my afflictions to a way higher dexterity than I had, and it's been giving me trouble the whole league. So if you're building your build, make sure to check that you're not locking your equipment in. Let's say you happen to have a shield that gives you 40 intelligence, make sure that you don't level your skill up actually to that level, because then you can't replace the shield anymore. So the equipment is actually very simple. It never changes. You always just go for life, and next to that you get all your things from your skill tree. Your damage over time, you get it from your skill tree, you get it from your gems, because as you can see, you use a lot of gems. All those gems you can stack up with 12% damage over time, and next to that you can get 7% life. So just with those, you can already stack on a lot of damage. In the beginning, it's a bit hard because you start on the Marauder side, so there's almost no spell damage there. But you, again, just stack the life in the beginning. There's even some regeneration there that you can take early game. And next to that, there's 2 nodes there that are great for physical damage. So you just take those and you're pretty much set. Until maps, it's not that hard anyways, if you just make sure that you're using the right skills and using the right links especially. Using the right links can give you a ton of extra damage, and a lot of times it's just as simple as taking some out, putting some new ones in. It's not even about changing your build that much. Next to all these skill gems, I get all of my spell damage from the Witch Tree Ascendancy. That's the main problem with this build in my opinion, that before the third lab, you don't do that much damage, except for the one from the Cluster Jewel where you get maybe 70%, yeah, 70% spell damage. So that's really not that much. Sure, you have your wand, but at low levels your wand won't even add that much spell damage compared to, for example, as you can see, the Witch Ascendancy, which is almost purely spell damage. Once you get to that spell damage, your damage will actually start getting really high really fast. And since you've been stacking life all the time, at that point you can just purely go for damage. I think the most versatile thing about this build is that you have so many skill gems that whether you want to go for sustainability, maybe you feel comfortable with some more life or some more regen, you can really put it all on there. Because, for example, I could take a cut of like 30% of my damage and I would still be fine in maps. And I could put that in life, for example, if I maybe was a bit less experienced or I just didn't feel comfortable with a map, for example. I think that just about covers it. I will post my links in the description. So if you want to try it out, you can try it out, see how it works for you. In the beginning, you don't have all the skill gems yet, but you have Exsanguinate, and that's pretty much your main skill. Early game, I would take a slightly different build maybe and respec into this one a bit later, but I'll do a separate video on that build as well, because it's the Spellslinger build, and if I would make those two in one video, it would be way too long, because they're completely separate builds. So I hope this helped at least some of you figure it out a little bit. If there are any questions, or if you need to know something, you're stuck, feel free to either leave a comment or you can just send me a personal message if you happen to know me in game.